My cruel sister urged me to belittle myself, and my mom egged her on. So I tried to slip out of the house quietly. My mom caught me and did everything in her power to block my escape, plus 3 updates. When I told my abusive mom I wanted to leave home for college, she broke down, sobbing hysterically and yelling that I didn't care about her. My sister walked in and asked what was going on. My mom wailed that I was abandoning her and didn't love her. Out of nowhere, my sister pulled out her phone and sent me a vicious DM, "You worthless idiot. I despise you. You're garbage and I'm glad you got robbed. Nobody loves you and nobody ever will. How dare you upset my mom? She's been nothing but kind to you your whole life and all she wanted was for you to stay. You'll never amount to anything. And I know you've been thinking about ending it all. So why don't you just do it? No one would care. Your boyfriend dumped you last year and that just proves nobody wants you. I hope you get hurt again. But I'll stop here before you try to get me in trouble like you did with Mom when we were kids. There's so much more I could say, but I don't want to be cruel." Reading that message, I broke down in tears. When my mom saw me crying, she burst into laughter, calling my sister's words hilarious. "You're not going anywhere," she sneered before walking off. I wanted to run right then, but I had no idea where to go. I tried to steady myself, to think clearly, but then my sister sauntered back into the room, a smug grin plastered on her face. She stopped right in front of me, staring me down like she was daring me to speak. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice oozing with fake sympathy. "Did I upset you?" She didn't wait for a reply. "Oh, right, I forgot. You don't have feelings. You're just a hollow shell who thinks the world owes her something." I stayed silent, afraid that if I spoke, I'd either scream or cry again, and I refused to give her that satisfaction. She leaned closer, her voice dropping. "You're such a pitiful little baby. No wonder nobody wants you around." Then she moved behind me and, before I could react, flicked the back of my head. I stumbled slightly and she laughed. "Whoops," she said, her tone mocking. "Didn't see you there." It stung, but I didn't turn around. I stood frozen, fists clenched, trying to hold myself together. I felt like I was suffocating, unable to move. She leaned in again, her breath hot against my ear. "You know, you'd be doing everyone a favor if you just vanished. It'd be a relief for all of us." I shut my eyes, wishing I could sink into the ground, wishing I was anywhere else. She pulled back and let out a sharp, cruel laugh. "Yeah, that's what I figured. Go on, keep acting like you're all strong and brave, but we both know you're just a coward." She turned and walked away, leaving me trembling. My head ached where she'd flicked it, but it was nothing compared to the weight in my chest. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. I knew I had to escape, but I didn't know how. My mom's words echoed in my head. I was going nowhere. That night, I retreated to my room and locked the door. I knew I couldn't stay in this house any longer. It was like living in a nightmare I couldn't escape. I sat on my bed, staring at the wall, trying to figure out my next move. I knew I couldn't just walk out the front door. My mom and sister would stop me. I needed a real plan. First, I grabbed my phone and saved screenshots of my sister's messages. I wasn't sure if I'd need them, but I wanted evidence, just in case. It felt strange, like I was preparing to confront my own family, but they'd given me no choice. I hid the screenshots in a secure folder and backed them up to my email. Then I went through her other messages. She'd sent me so many hateful things over the years, and I saved them all. Every insult, every threat. It was overwhelming. I tried not to dwell on the words, knowing they'd only make me cry again, and I needed to stay focused. Next, I made a list of essentials to take. Clothes, my laptop, a few books, and the $300 I'd saved from my part-time job. It wasn't much, but it was enough to start somewhere new. I began packing a small bag, moving quietly to avoid being heard. I stuffed in some clothes, my laptop, and its charger, tucking the cash deep inside my backpack. My heart raced the entire time, like I was committing a crime, but I kept telling myself this was necessary. I couldn't stay here, pretending everything was fine. As I zipped up the bag, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I froze, my heart pounding. The doorknob jiggled. I'd forgotten to unlock it. "Open the door!" My mom's voice snapped, sharp and irritated. I hesitated, then forced myself to unlock it. She shoved the door open, standing there with her arms crossed, glaring at me. Her eyes landed on the bag on my bed, and I saw realization flash across her face. "What do you think you're doing?" she demanded. I tried to stay calm, scrambling for an excuse, but panic was rising. "Just packing some stuff," I said, my voice unsteady. "For college. I'm just getting ready." "Don't lie to me," she spat, stepping into the room. "You think you're leaving? After everything I've done for you, you're just going to walk out?" My throat went dry, but I forced out words. "I'm not leaving now," I said, faking a smile. Just preparing. I'm staying. She didn't buy it. I could tell from her eyes. She stepped closer, her face inches from mine. You think you're clever, don't you? Think you're going to run off and live some perfect life? You're not. You're not going anywhere. I swallowed hard. I know, Mom, I said softly. I'm staying. I'm sorry. I hated saying it, hated pretending, but I knew she'd make things worse if I didn't. She stared at me, her gaze piercing, like she was trying to catch me in a lie. I held her gaze, forcing myself to look calm. Finally, she stepped back, her lips twisting into a smirk. That's right, she said. You're not going anywhere. You belong here with your family. Don't forget it. I nodded, trying to look broken. I won't, I whispered. She shot me one last glare before leaving, slamming the door behind her. I let out a trembling breath, feeling like I'd just survived a storm. My hands shook as I finished packing, shoving a few more things into the bag. I wasn't going to let her win. I wasn't going to stay here and let them destroy me. I didn't know how, but I was getting out. I had to. Even if it meant sneaking out in the dead of night, I was leaving. I wasn't going to let them crush me anymore. I'm escaping this house, no matter what it takes. One thing I should mention is that I secretly reached out to an acquaintance. I shared my family situation with her, and she and her parents, who vaguely know my mom, said they'd let me stay with them if I could get there without anyone knowing where I was. That's my destination. Update 1. My hands are trembling, but I'm on my way to a domestic violence shelter. I'm terrified. The family who offered to take me in backed out, saying my mom is too frightening when she's angry, and they're worried she'd do something extreme if she found out where I was. I'm so frustrated with them, she wouldn't even know I was there. How could she find out? They live miles away. Right now, I'm a mess. It all happened so fast. The night I left, my mom saw me heading for the door. She threw a vase at me and screamed threats, saying she'd end me. I didn't even have time to clean up or change. I look and smell terrible. Update 2. I'm at the ER getting my medication. The shelter is covering the cost. I'm worried about being judged because I look like I just rolled out of bed, but I had to escape. The shelter is actually really nice. It's such a relief not to be yelled at or scared for my life when I go to bed. The only downside is that I have 30 days before I need to leave. Thankfully, I have a job interview lined up. I'm not sure how to approach it, but I think I'll be honest and say I need the job because I'm in a shelter. It's at a movie theater, which would be amazing. My friend's family also changed their minds and said I could stay with them after the 30 days if I have nowhere else to go. I just need to buy a ticket. Update 3. It's been almost 3 years since I shared this, and I'm desperate for help. For some reason, these memories resurfaced. In rereading my story, I want to wrap my younger self in a hug because I'd forgotten how bad it was. I also want to thank everyone who supported me. I wrote down your advice and followed it. I really did. So here's the final chapter of this journey, and it's a happy one. The shelter I stayed in was brand new and wonderful. The staff said the old one was overcrowded, so I was lucky to arrive when I did. After the first day, I could finally breathe, my nerves settling. There were about 7 other women there, each with our own room and a nice bathroom. I was the youngest, and the other women shared life advice and even helped me with my makeup for interviews. We took turns cooking as per the rules and built a warm connection. The staff was incredible, offering guidance about life. I felt so secure there thanks to the tight security. Oh, and I almost forgot. A church group visited and gave us handmade quilts. I still have mine. I treasure it, washing it carefully, and sometimes I cuddle with it, reflecting on how far I've come. We also had group and individual therapy, which helped immensely. I know not every shelter is like this, but if things get bad, don't hesitate to leave. Family abuse is domestic violence. I found a job that paid better than the movie theater, and I told them I wasn't planning to return to school. Yes, it was a fib, but I couldn't afford rent on a theater salary. I chose to find my own place instead of staying with my friend's family because I craved stability, and if things went wrong, I'd have no safety net and would have to start over. I had no reason to expect problems, but after escaping such a toxic situation, nothing felt certain. I rented a room, and my roommate, a truck driver, was rarely home. I wasn't thrilled about living with an older man I didn't know, but options were limited. He was kind, and since our schedules didn't overlap, we left each other notes to say goodbye. I kept his note. I returned to school the next semester after my medical leave, but not at my original college. I wanted a fresh start, and my family knew about the old school, so I applied elsewhere. I got into a fantastic school, sharing my story of survival in the application essay. When my sister said I'd never be anything, she was wrong, and I think she knew it. I graduated this year, and I have a stability I've never known. Though I'm older than I planned to be when I graduated, I realized that doesn't matter, and the medical leave was a blessing. I just got engaged to a wonderful man with an amazing family. They always say I'm part of their family, and I'm so close with my future mother-in-law. I had food poisoning recently, and my fiancé drove out at 2 a.m. to buy Pedialyte to keep me hydrated. When I was stuck in the bathroom, he said he'd make me lentil soup. I didn't even have to ask. When I was a kid and sick, my mom just told me to go back to bed. It feels incredible to be cared for like this, and sometimes I catch myself saying, "You don't have to," when he does something kind. He has 6 siblings, and they're like the siblings I never had. I've learned to value myself and put my needs first. I wasn't loved, so I'd do things for myself that I missed out on. Nobody made me feel special, so I buy myself flowers every week. A therapist suggested this, and it truly helps. Nobody cared when I was sick, so I make sure to rest and recover undisturbed. Nobody respected my time or space, so I have days where I don't answer my phone and just enjoy my own company. Things like that. When I wrote that last update, I was crying, feeling hopeless in a shelter with a 30-day limit, thinking nothing good could happen in that time. I was so depressed, but I had no idea life would turn out so beautifully. If this story hit home, please like, share, and follow for more real-life drama. Your support keeps these stories coming. Thanks for reading, and catch you in the next one.